interested, therefore, with your perspective here, with it passing through the House, but former President Trump saying he actually is sort of backtracking, having originally been the first one with an executive order against TikTok. He now thinks if you pull away at TikTok, it makes other rivals more strong, certainly Meta, for example. Are you still standing by the view that TikTok should be banned or sold?
Well, let's make sure we understand now. We're not talking about banning TikTok. This is up to TikTok. This is up to ByteDance. They make the decision on whether they want it to go away or whether they want to divest themselves of the ownership of this. This is two questions here. First of all, this is a question about, is it going to be banned? No. They have to divest themselves. That's a question that only they can answer. The second question is us in Congress, us in the House and in the Senate, and that is, this is about national security. Now, are we going to take national security seriously? The number one responsibility of the federal government is to protect our homeland and protect our citizens. We have to take it seriously, and it is about national security.
Congressman, thank you for your time this morning. Project Texas was the plan whereby the US user data of the TikTok app would be housed in data centers onshore here in the United States, owned and operated by Oracle. Were you not convinced of that plan such that you co-sponsored this bill? Why did that not work?
No, it doesn't matter where they are based. If it's owned by the Chinese Communist Party, that's the problem. And that's the responsibility of Congress. That's our responsibility to guard against these kind of national security issues. That's why we acted on this. And, I would beg to differ with some of my colleagues who are saying, oh, this was too rushed, this was too rushed. We've been talking about this for a long time now. And remember, TikTok has been banned on government phones for some time now. So this is not anything new. And again, this is not a ban. We're just saying that ByteDance, the parent company of TikTok that is owned by the Chinese Communist Party, they must divest themselves of this. And the bill specifically says adversarial countries. I mean, we're not talking
Congressman,
about it.
Congressman, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but there is a choice on ByteDance and TikTok side as well. It's a divest or ban, and Bloomberg's reported that TikTok will exhaust its legal options to avoid a sale or a divestiture. There are 170 million Americans who love using TikTok. What do you think is fair in the case where TikTok just says, we're going to dig in here, we will not sell to a third party?
Well, if they're not going to sell to a third party and they're going to continue to be used by the Chinese Communist Party, then I think that we have to step in and we have to say, no, you're not going to be allowed here. You know that American apps are not allowed in China. I hope everybody realizes that. And you know that the content of TikTok in China is different than the content of TikTok here in America. You know, we're not just talking about dancing people or cats or being on TikTok. We're talking about the ability of the Chinese Communist Party to get your data, to actually use biometrics against you. And that's something that we have the responsibility in Congress of guarding against. If we don't do this, then we're being irresponsible in Congress.
What's interesting is if indeed ByteDance is sold, that impacts those that have invested in ByteDance, the parent of TikTok. One is actually, well, a billionaire GOP mega donor. Jeff Yass being one of them, $15 billion riding on his investment. And of course, he made his fortune with Susquehanna International Group. How are you talking to some of the people who have a lot of money on the line when it comes to their investment in TikTok?
Again, if they don't want to lose their money, and I certainly don't blame them, I wouldn't want them to lose my money either. But a divestiture means that they're not going to lose their money. It just means that it's not going to be owned by the Chinese Communist Party. And when you take the chance of investing in something that is owned by the Chinese Communist Party, then those are the chances you're taking.
Have you spoken to Jeff Yass out of interest?
No, I have not.